everyone, and welcome to the today webinar, Importance of Digital Media Strategy for Business. Digital media has changed and evolved dramatically over the year, and it has become one of the an essential method for marketing to doing business. And it's important for business owner and marketing department to be up to date with regard of digital media trends, and they should be familiar with the latest way of digital media in order to keep up the market. A huge company, for example, like Walmart, went down and wiped hundreds of local specialty shops. We've seen this kind of situation when some big, also online, like Amazon, we are coming into the market, and for the small businesses, it's hard to compete with the same kind of name recognition and that have strong brand awareness, or a budget that have millions of dollars that are put in marketing and reputation management. So that's where the importance of digital marketing shine. And as a beacon of hope for small businesses, is the same for brick and mortar e-commerce and personal alike. Digital marketing actually allows smaller business the ability to hold a top ranking position. According to a market research, it is shown that 36% of the marketeers are attempting to integrate traditional and digital marketing activities, which means that awareness around digital media is increased and is increasing, and owners see the benefits of marketing their business using digital media. However, it is still seen that many businesses follow the trends of digital marketing without having a specific strategy, which leads many times wasting time, money, and effort. So having a strategy in place is essential in order to define your goal and keep your employee in the same place. Well-defined strategy will also help simplify decision-making and therefore obtain better outcome. There are many different digital media strategies to follow. Business needs to identify which strategy will fit best for your business before implementing it. In this webinar today, we will discuss this kind of topic in different kind of perspective. For example, what is the digital media strategy, and what are the key factors to consider while setting a digital media strategy, which are the best practices in planning a good digital strategy, and why digital media is important for your business. We'll try to create some kind of tips for effective digital media strategy, and maybe also some kind of example of successful digital media strategy. To discuss this in detail, we have a great panel with two experts in the space: Ashish Gupta, VP Digital Media and BPG Group, and V. Rankumar, Senior Partner of Cedar Consulting. Before letting them to introduce themselves, just few guidelines in this webinar. We keep everyone with the mute mic because to avoid noise in the webinar. You may type the question in the chat option on your right, or you can ask directly question in the head of the session. The session will be 40 minutes discussion and 10 minutes question and answer. This webinar will be recorded, don't worry. Will be available on our platform and bfconnect.ai, and you can download it and watch it later. So now a few seconds for the introduction of the panelists. Who want to start? Ashish, Ram?
Okay. Thank you. Thanks, David, for such a nice introduction about the digital media and digital media strategy and importance in today's world, by the way.
Ashish, your audio is a bit noisy. Can you keep it closer to the mic, please?
Okay, sure.
Great.
So my name is Ashish Gupta. Originally, I'm from India. I moved to Dubai in 2007 and started my career in digital marketing space. My education, I have done masters in e-business administration and from India, and I have been working across many marketing agencies in my career. And BPG.
Ashish, sorry, your audio is a bit broken, noisy. Can you try to keep yourself a bit closer, because I think that is a bit noisy. I don't know if maybe it's just me. Shiba, can you confirm
No,
I'm audible?
No, it is not, Ashish. I think you have to come a bit more near. Yeah.
Just 1 second, because I'm using the headphone. Maybe it's because of that. Is it clear now?
This is clear, yes.
Fine. So I will repeat what I was saying, that I moved to Dubai in 2007, and I started my career in digital marketing. I'm working with many media agencies in the market, and currently I'm working with BPG Gulf, and my current role is the vice president. And I look after all sort of marketing, the strategies, and making the media plans and doing the in my day-to-day role. A lot of the challenges which kind of currently faced by many brands in the market, and our job, or I would say my job, is to kind of resolve these marketing, give them digital marketing strategies in order to tackle their business. Do on day-to-day basis, and I will let Mr. Give the introduction, and then we can.
Ashish, your audio is very weak. Please, you have to
just 1 second.
Maybe the mic.
The earphone. 1 second.
Because when you are coming a bit closer to the mic, it's very strong. In the meanwhile, Ram, can you introduce yourself? A few seconds.
Sure. Am I audible?
Yes, very well.
Excellent. Good afternoon. Dear attendees here, I'm presuming most of you are in the Middle East, but those of you who are in other parts of the world, good morning or good evening. Pleasure to be here. My name is Ram. I am a senior partner with Cedar. We are a management consulting firm, more of a strategy management consulting firm than necessarily a social media specialist, which Ashish, who is my fellow panelist in the room, who is more of a specialist. But we've been doing a lot of work with small and medium enterprises, as well as with banks who actually have a SME portfolio, and we've been working very closely with a lot of these enterprises. And I think more important claim to fame, in this conversation today is really going to be more on how do we look at the prism of strategy in a new environment. The world is changing now, and how has it been in the past? How is it now, and how is it going to be? And I'm looking forward to having a very interesting discussion today. Over to you, David.
I agree. Ashish, you want to just let a few words before, because we interrupt you during your
I understand. Apologies for that, actually, but can you guys hear me now properly?
Yeah.
Okay, sometimes, the wireless and the Bluetooth connectivity really creates a lot of issues. So I came back to the traditional way of talking and communicating to you guys. So I'm using my headphone. So apologies to all participants as well. I would repeat a couple of words which I said earlier. I've been working in the digital media, I would say, from past 15 years. Always been on the digital marketing front. I started my career with many different, the agencies in Dubai. And it is very interesting area, because we have seen the evolution of digital and the digital media in the last couple of years, and we understand the power of digital today, that where this overall industry is going. Same time, it is a very challenging role as well, because it is regularly, it is continuously evolving, and we have to be ready as a marketer to answer and tackle those challenges. And this is what my job it asks for, and that's why I'm here. I'm happy to have this conversation with you guys, and feel free, ask us as many as things you guys can. Mr. Ram is there, Mr. David is here, and we'll try to make this session very interesting for you guys.
Great. Thank you, Ashish, for this introduction. We hope, and that's the reason why we come up with this webinar, to create value for our SME, this part of the community. It's not like something easy for someone that is working many hours in a day, completely focused on their business model and to grow their business. It's not easy to find the time to have some takeaways, have some kind of understanding tools on creating a good strategy in digital media. That's why I would like that this webinar will be very useful and with some practical tools, practical hints for them. And maybe today and tomorrow they're starting to create something by themselves. That is the value that we would like to transfer to our community. But let's start with a pool that we can share with our participants for a few seconds. The pool around a very simple question and just interacting with everyone. Do you know about digital media? Yes. What is digital media? The answer is yes, no, a little. I don't know, completely understand it. Yes, but I don't know the benefits of it. Martha, please, if you can start. I see that you started very well. Thank you. A few seconds, keeping, I would say, some question, please. Everyone, just a click on your answer, then we will start to discuss the results of the poll.
Sure, David.
Just to start, and there's a way you can show the results, Meta, so we can start to discuss about the awareness of this topic around us. Yes, for the 22%, 105, that's good, but the majority of people, they don't know about digital media strategy. So this should drive us the way in which we can share the knowledge about the topic and how keep it really easy to everyone, the concept. What do you think? First of all, what do you think about the results? You would expect something like that or something different? Want to start?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that, look, I mean, it's good to know that at least 20% of people have, stated they know what digital media is, which is very, very useful. But obviously, I am also appreciative of the 65% who have been very honest. So my observation is that we have a very honest audience here. So we got to be.
I agree. I agree. Ashish, you want to say something? You were expecting something like that?
Of course, it's an interesting poll, by the way. We have mix of both the audience. So would like to keep the communication as well, the simple and maybe bit advanced as well. So people, those who want to understand the specific and the nitty-gritty of the digital media, we would like to answer that as well. Same time, we would keep it simple as well for our other audience and the participant to understand it.
I promise to everyone, I would say, if you agree, I promise to everyone, let's keep it simple. Okay,
sure.
Because also for me, let's keep it simple with the finding for the beginning. What is mean digital strategy? Or digital media? What is digital media? First of all, starting from the basics.
So I think see, digital media is it could be anything. So any I would say information or a content, or let's say the videos or the photos which we are consuming, with the help of digital devices, let's say like smartphone or maybe our laptop or the smart TVs, it's a form of digital media. Any website which we consume today, any mobile application which we use it for bill payments or utility payments and all, these are all digital media actually. Now, the digital media, the way it has evolved also, it is very interesting, by the way. A lot of people today, they are, or they may be consuming these media channels, but when we talk to them specifically that, do you understand digital media? Maybe their answer would be, no, I don't. But the fact is, even being active on WhatsApp is an example of a digital media. It's one of the fastest, digital media channel actually. So this is how I can simplify it. Yes.
I agree. And Ram, what do you think? Maybe a good definition that come in my mind could be that digital media is everything but the paper, everything but the newspaper or stuff tangible, something like you can usually in Italy we have the bar, right? You come to the bar to make drink the coffee, cappuccino, and you have in front of you the piece of paper that you are using to just watch the news, of course, for the football, calcio, and stuff like that. So everything that is different from that, right?
Bang on, right? I mean, that's the simplest definition one could offer. Anything which is not on paper. I mean, all the media that we learned when we were in B school is the stuff that is not digital media, and the stuff that is actually not in paper. To keep life simple, I guess that's how I would call it. I mean, the evolution of what you talked about from above the line and below the line, and stuff that we talked about, which is billboards to actually getting newspapers. They're all all of them have shrunk together into what would actually be a very small part of media. I think the larger piece right now is, what we're seeing is digital. Absolutely.
Great. So assuming that we define what we're talking about, great. Now, if I put myself in the shoes of someone that maybe they don't know about this kind of stuff, let's do a step ahead on that and try to understand why I should know about digital media. And maybe Mesa has another pool, try to have some kind of question from our participant around what do you think about digital media strategy is important? Why? And do you think that having a digital media strategy is important? The answer is simple. Yes, no, or yes is essential. Meta, are you coming up with the, is already there. Meta is efficient. Yeah. Yes. Second, just to go in a step ahead and then discuss the awareness of how much is important the digital media strategy. I would say we can close. Let's see the results. Yes. Is yes, no, yes is essential. I would say that everyone is, quite the majority of us, of the participants of this webinar is aware that it's important having a digital strategy. That is a very good base on which we can discuss the topic. So the awareness is high. Do you expect something like that? Ram.
Can you repeat the question?
If you see the results, the majority of they know that. Yeah. If I'm not wrong, yeah.
No, I guess there is, what I'm seeing here is we do have a large portion of people who have abstained from voting, which is what we actually call as no view, or they've been neutral. But for those who have expressed a view, I could see almost absolute majority of people who confirm that yes, digital media is essential. That's the way I read those numbers there.
Yeah. Yeah. Ashish?
I actually absolutely agree with Ram. It would have been interesting to know, a perspective from the people, those who haven't participated in the poll, to understand that whether they fall into the category of yes or no. But again, I think the majority of the people, they do agree, and I think they believe in the power of digital media and the digital media strategy as well. So I think we have a great audience, and we have positive people who believe in the strength of digital media.
Yeah, but Ashish, just to keep the word with you, but tell me why a small business why is important for him having a good strategy? First of all, what does it mean? Let's define a strategy in digital media. What are you talking about? And then why is it important?
I think I would, if I have to answer, from a SME perspective, I will take a step back, and before even getting into digital media or the marketing strategy, I would first understand the challenges which I'm facing as a business owner, and once I understand the challenges of my business, I would then think about, how can I overcome these challenges? And I think that's where the role of digital media comes in, and even the other media as well. And it is very important to understand that what is the objective of getting into digital media, and then accordingly I can prepare the strategies. And the strategy word, maybe it may sound very maybe a very complicated word, but it is a mix of different elements. And I think once we understand that why I need digital media, and how I can get into digital media, then accordingly we can prepare our strategies. And once we have all the answer of all the question as a business owner, the digital media strategy will automatically come into the place, by the way.
Ram, what do you think?
I mean, I pretty much align and agree with what Ashish was explaining. I want to just add another angle or dimension to this, right? You see, if one was to consider in a very simple language, a media strategy is to actually create an awareness amongst the prospective audience about the product or the service that you're looking to deliver, right? It's as simple as that. I have an offer, I have a product, I have a service, and I want all my prospective customers to know about the product and service. This is the simplest definition of what we are looking to drive in any marketing agenda. The moment we talk about digital media, the point essentially here is we recognize that a large majority of prospective customers have moved on to spend a lot of their time and the space in which they operate in the digital world. I mean, just to give an example, since this is an NBF platform, you would agree, David, that post-COVID, we actually have a 50% increase in what we call as first-time digital banking users. That's a whopping number. People who otherwise were comfortable going to the branch or want to go to the branch. I could give an example of my own mother. I mean, she would never actually have imagined using a mobile or an internet to do her banking. But come COVID, and she had no choice but to create an account for herself. And so she is now, quote unquote, in the digital world, right? Now, if you consider this as a larger population, it's almost inevitable that we actually have to have our presence in that world to make our customers know about our services. And that, in the simplistic definition, is what I would call as your digital media presence and a strategy that is built around it. Yeah, that's my take on that, David.
Completely agree, Ram. But if you put ourselves in the shoes of an SME that they don't know what would be the first step that they should do for entering in this kind of words in the right way. We know that maybe is a kind of path that will approximate to the better in the long term. At the beginning, we can make some mistake. Just some kind of hints that the SME can follow to avoid the do and don'ts, let me say, to avoid the kind of typical mistake that they could make at the beginning. Do you have some kind of suggestion, advice that you can share with them?
You want me to go first?
Please.
Okay, I guess I would obviously have Ashish to be, giving the quote unquote specific tips, which he's obviously a specialist in, and I'm not a specialist here, but I am a strategist. So I would actually be approaching this slightly on a higher plane, and let's understand this from a higher plane standpoint. Before I define any strategy, I have to understand that there are 4 elements to any digital media, or for that matter, any strategic framework has to address 4 questions. And the sequencing of these 4 questions is extremely important. What would be those 4 questions that I'm seeking answers for be? What am I looking to deliver as part of this digital media strategy? Who am I targeting as my prospective customers? how am I actually looking to deliver this digital media strategy and why am I doing this? I put these 4 questions on the table, but I did mention to you that before you attempt answering these 4, sequencing them is critical. And that's where I'm going to lay my emphasis for this webinar. Your entire strategy could be very different depending on what the answer to the why of the media strategy is. If you're looking to promote the product, that's a different strategy. If you're looking to do a brand build, that's a very different strategy. If you're looking to do a brand extension, so you're doing all the other work elsewhere, and the digital media is an extension to what you're doing elsewhere, that could be a very different strategy. So why am I looking to drive digital media, and how? And that becomes my question number 1. My second question is, who am I looking to actually tap into? You may have different audiences, different profile of customers. And these days, I mean, just for example, SEOs and ACMs and, the search engine optimization and search engine management is a whole science, and, it's a field in itself, which is driven purely by who is the persona who I'm looking to actually drive this whole digital media, reach out with. So first question is why? My second question is who? My third question is what? What is the content I'm looking to deliver? And if I have the what defined and the who known, obviously the why is overarching on top, then I could get into how am I going to deliver this? So am I going to use Facebook or Instagram, or am I using my Twitter? Am I going to use another digital media? Is it actually driven on WhatsApp? Is it paid? Is it unpaid? Is it geography specific? What persona? I think all of those elements and how do I deliver them comes in once I have the first 3 questions sequenced. So that's what I would think, David, is very critical, because if you got the sequence wrong, then you are actually having a lot of wasted resources. You would have actually been chasing a wild goose. I mean, that's the essence of what I would like to recommend. Of course, I'm sure Ashish has much more detailed specifics to add to that. Yeah.
I completely, and please, Ashish, now I like the approach because in this way we are just defining how could be the approach in entering and using the digital media strategy, and how, let's see now how practically the how and how SME can use this kind of approach. Ashish.
I would say, first of all, Mr. Ram has explained it very beautifully and very simplistic in a manner to understand that, why do we, first of all, we need a digital media strategy. And before we getting into digital media strategy, what are the components which is required? I don't want to repeat what Mr. Ram said, but these are very important element. So which is, as Ram said, is the understanding who are we targeting, why we are targeting, how are we targeting. But there are other, I would say a smaller components which I think we need to think also, which is just an kind of an add-on, is that, let's say, for how long we are planning to kind of run our marketing activities, because it is very important to understand that if I'm promoting something, whether it is going to be for 1 week, or it is going to be for 2 weeks, or it is going to be for a month or not. And different, I would say, SME, they have different, I'm sure, the budgets and the different target audience, different products to promote. So definitely the duration also plays a very important part of it. Also, I think what we need to consider is that when we run or when we prepare our digital strategy, we should plan well in advance that what are you expecting out of your marketing campaigns. Because it is very easy to advertise your product on Facebook. It is very easy to advertise your product on YouTube or even on Google and all. But it is key and it is very critical to understand that when you advertise something on Facebook, your response will be different. When you advertise on YouTube, your response will be different. And that's where a different objective of a business comes into the picture. So for example, if an SME is there whose main target audience are people, those who are on LinkedIn, than on Instagram. So it makes more sense for your business to advertise on LinkedIn rather than on Instagram, because every digital media channel has a different the audience and the different role to play it actually. So it is very important from a business perspective to understand, which Mr. Ram said, because that is the base of digital media strategy. What I'm saying, these are the add-on. So to understand your duration of your campaign, to understand the marketing budget of your campaign, because that is very important, and to understand the role of each and every media channel, within your marketing plan, and to understand what you basically expect from these, these marketing channels. So this is what I have to say, and I think whenever you plan your digital media strategy, think of all these components carefully, and accordingly decide your marketing strategies, by the way.
I was thinking that when we are talking with on these kind of topics, guys, we are mentioning sometimes technical terms like targets, tools, strategy. Maybe it's really not easy for an SME that again is doing every time maybe something different and physical in the real world, to get closer to this kind of concept. So I was thinking, is there an easy way, or someone that can help them in the beginning? What do you suggest to a very to our SME that may never get closer to this kind of topics? What should they maybe ask someone that help them, or do you think that there are some tools somewhere and that can help them in as easy ways as possible to make the first steps in this kind of environment, this kind of digital media world? Ashish, what do you think about it? I mean, I am clear about the question, because we went through some technical stuff, and I don't want that maybe we still have some question mark over the head of some kind of SME that they don't know what is that, with a target, they don't know about the digital space.
Yeah.
So maybe they ask for an help.
Yeah. So David, I will repeat the question which you have just said, that how if there are any tips, or if there is any sort of the guidelines, or there is any rule book which possibly we can have it in order to make our digital marketing strategies better. And the answer would be yes. The beauty of digital media is that all information is available on internet. If from a SME perspective, if tomorrow you want to understand how Google search, let's say, work, or how Google search basically behaves, how can I launch my Facebook ads, or how can I launch my Instagram advertising? All this information is available on internet, and all these big companies like Facebook, Google, YouTube, and any other digital media channels, they have prepared so much of content, and they have given lots of information to the people like you and SMEs and us, where we can read all this information and we can follow step by step. And there is a lot of content is being even given on YouTube as well. So for example, if you go on YouTube and you want to understand how Facebook advertising works, all the information will be displayed in your screen, and you can follow those guidelines, by the way. Similarly, all these big companies, even Google and all, they provide all those the tips as well, that how you can make your advertising better. But from my own personal experience, what I would recommend is, first is, whenever you are making your digital marketing strategies, you should have this understanding that what are you expecting out of this? And there are tools, and this is my advice to the SMEs who already have, let's say, a website in place, or anybody who has, let's say, a WhatsApp channel in place. all these, information, you can track it with the help of Google Analytics, or there are so many tools in the market where you can track, the information about your campaigns and this and that. So my basic advice is, guys, go and Google yourself. You type anything on Google search engine and you will get the answer from there.
Great. Ram, do you have any suggestion, hints on how the SME can make the first steps?
No, I guess, see, the beauty about SME as a community, and I've dealt with SMEs all through my career. I think the one thing that makes an SME stand out from any larger institution is this entrepreneurial spirit, right? That's what makes an SME very different from large enterprises. It is actually having that entrepreneurial spirit that resonates so well with what Ashish just explained, right? It's about exploring. It's about just looking at what are the various things that can be done. And the internet is the quote unquote open university. I mean, you really can get everything that you want at a click of a button without paying a single penny if you just look for it in the internet. And as they say, Google is the universal teacher. He seems to have an answer to everybody, Mr. Google. And I guess we have to use it effectively. Now, the one thing that I want to add here, which may be very useful, is making sure that you are not actually using the digital media as a primary mode of marketing till such time you actually have got the elements we spoke about, identified, right? And there will be a process of iteration before you get to that level of comfort. What works, what doesn't work, who are we targeting, why are we doing it in this manner, which is the channel. I mean, Ashish just talked about from Instagram to YouTube to a Facebook, and you actually have so many digital media interventions. What works for you, what doesn't work, what is the cost incurred, what investments are to be made. You will have to actually go through a bit of an iteration here. So start small. Don't start with everything in one shot. You may have to go through a learning curve before you get to that equilibrium. I think that's the only additional point I would add to that. Yeah.
I like this. I like this also from Ashish and Ram, because I know, Shiba, that we are pushing us because we are quite close to the,
yes,
the 40 minute
yes.
slot. I know. Let me say just I like the and both of course you still with us, Ashish? I hope. Ashish, yes.
Yes, I'm listening.
I was thinking that the agile approach in which you make the first step and learning from the results of this first step, whatever you want to do, like using some kind of tool, targeting some kind of specific target of your audience, or using specific channel or whatever, is a matter of understanding also how you can go through the first step and how you're reacting your audience to your brand, to what you're doing, and your product and your services. So I think that this is one of the best, I think, approach that they could test. Very easy to do it, and learning and approaching to the best to the learn. Shiba, I think that we are crossing a bit the time of the
Yes.
of the webinar. Yes, and we are going through the question and answer.
We can
Do we
now
have
start
some question?
Participants, if you have any question, please type in the questions and we'll have panelists respond to your queries here.
That's great. Please don't be shy. Tell us if you have some question to the expert. It's very important to use this time. Maybe I would say that it's pretty useful that maybe at the end of the we can publish some kind of list of sources, references to some tools. So you mentioned actually some YouTube video. would be great if we could try to have some kind of list of sources.
So you want me
Shiva,
to?
do you have something? Please, Ashish.
No, I was saying, do you want me to kind of type it over there, or I can just mention a couple of the websites which people and our audience they can refer to, and it will be really helpful.
Could be useful. Could be useful. Absolutely,
Yeah.
could be useful. In the meanwhile, one question that I would have, if you are in your experience, both of you, experience some kind of specific approach, starting from the first step, from an enterprise or an SME, a corporate, in starting the journey of the digital media strategy, and what was the main results of this kind of first steps in your experience? Just to share one practical example with us.
So Ram, if you may allow, I would like to answer this because this is a very interesting story, by the way.
Of course.
I think everyone, we have during last year, during COVID, there was a situation, when things were completely locked down. We were not even supposed to move out from our apartment or even go down, and there was a curfew. And this curfew was starting like, 10 o'clock, let's say in the night, and it will go up to whatever, 6 a.m. in the morning. And it was a bit challenging for us to, go down, because I'm used to go down to the grocery and then pick up my own stuff and bring it home. So the building where I live in, there's a supermarket, which is a very small supermarket. And I was a bit amazed the way they have used my data, because I always used to call them and order my grocery. But when this lockdown and the curfew happened, these the guy, they kind of sent me an SMS actually from their mobile number, because we live in this community, and they said their operating time and is different, and if you need any product, you don't need to kind of visit the supermarket or something. You can just simply send your order, and our guy will kind of come and deliver, because there was a lot of. So I was a bit surprised that how come a small supermarket guy, he has recorded my, or I would say he has kept my mobile number and my name so carefully, and to be utilized in this manner, and during the COVID time. So I think likewise there are so many other stories as well, which I'm sure we can discuss this some other time. But this is my own personal experience, and I was definitely surprised and impressed with it actually.
That's great. That's great. Before give me your example on that, I would just would like to remind if Maisa can public the poll for the quality of the webinar. So please, everyone can give us some feedback about the quality and how we can improve the content and the quality, the format of the webinar. Please do it. Ram, tell me about your example.
Sure, David, and I'm going to actually go a little offbeat on my example, and again I'm going to quote a real life example that I have experienced myself personally. As you know, I mean, I also sit on a board of an NGO that is in the space of digital education for children, rural children in India. And one of the challenges that we had, during COVID was to effectively promote about what is being done by the organization and actually invite more volunteers and also donors to participate. Now, here we're talking about social media and the impact of the social media marketing. Now, what we discovered, and this is something very, very useful for our audience here to actually emulate, is the social media allows you to actually move away from having boring, simple textual communication to what could be extremely powerful visual communications, which could include both videos and pictures, and more so with videos, or live communication of people, and the ability for that to be promoted across channels. You see, this is where the beauty is. In the past, you would need to have different formats or different content to be delivered through different channels. But today, you could have the same content, but packaged differently in order for it to be a small clip that goes on a WhatsApp, circulation,
Yeah.
you have a longer duration YouTube, video and so on and so forth. You could clearly see that you are targeting and delivering to different audiences to the need that they actually seek. And that's again social media at your service there. Yeah.
And that's becoming much more efficient, right?
Absolutely.
Because you have
It's
message and you
cost-effective.
can just create the shaping the messaging for different channel and different targets. So that's a good way.
Okay, now we have a question from the audience. We have a question from Carla who asks, what is the best platform or tools to use for marketing clothing or apparel online?
Wow, good question. Very specific.
Yeah,
Ashish,
to clothing, apparel.
clothing apparel online shop. Ashish, do you have an idea, and then Ram?
Yes, I can answer that. And Carla, thanks for your question, by the way. See, I'm not sure at what level your clothing, basically the business run currently, but from my own experience, because we have handled many clothing and apparel brands in UAE market, and from my own personal experience, I would say nothing works better than Google search. And Google search is an intent based, it's not like something which you push to the people to see and kind of look at your product. So even from different marketing channels, Google definitely works best. And because you are in this clothing and the apparel business, I would say you should try Instagram, you should try YouTube, because you need to understand what are the channels where people, they may consume the clothing or apparel related content. And when it comes to the fashion, when it comes to all of this, I think Instagram is very powerful medium. YouTube is a very powerful medium. And likewise, there are other, I'm sure the media channels are there. Maybe you should try the WhatsApp as well, because now in WhatsApp you can have your own product catalog, which you can distribute with your own, I would say your audience and your customers, and they may possibly have chance to look at your product again and again. So give a try. Yeah. and let us know.
Ram, you want to say something about that?
No, I think that was
some kind of experience.
No, I think I agree with everything that Ashish said. The only thing I would want to add is I think there is also this concept of what is known as bots or messenger bots that is very popular with Facebook as a channel. I'm sure Ashish can throw more light on that as well, which is extremely effective if you use Facebook as a channel. That actually again is going back to the intent based. So you could actually make sure that you're validating somebody's interest. The bot actually asks a few questions. And then when somebody confirms the interest, then it becomes a very qualified customer or a lead that gets, or a qualified target. I know, David, you've warned us against using, jargons, but I guess that's what it is. And that's the only thing I will add to what Ashish explained. Yeah. Ashish, would you agree?
Absolutely agree with you. Yeah.
Thanks, Ashish and Ram. Now we have another question here from the audience, Ashish. He says, no, that's another Ashish. He says, is there a potential threat to digital advertising due to increasing instances of frauds and scams? Potential threat to digital advertising.
A potential threat to digital advertising due to increasing instances of frauds and scam. That's a very technical and specific question. I like it. Who wants to say something around that?
Mr. Ram, you want to go ahead, or shall I?
I will attempt to answer. Look, robbers, the big robbers who actually go and rob the banks, obviously have been going after banks, but banks have not closed shop. Banks have sustained, and obviously the models have changed. So we can't obviously, they have to coexist. The same challenge, where we talk about cyber security and cyber threats, and David is a digital banker. So he would agree with me that, if somebody was to ask this question, will cybersecurity or the cyber threat come in the way of digital banking becoming popular? I'm sure the answer is no. I mean, we need to build our defenses and build our security protection layers. But, the benefits that comes with the digital banking far outweighs the risk that comes with the cyber threats. Not to trivialize it, but it has to be dealt with. I think the same logic would apply, in my view, on digital marketing. Of course, there are the fraudsters and there are a lot of threat and there is a lot of challenge that needs to be dealt with and protected, and we need to be sensitive to it. But are the benefits, not worth it as compared to it? I don't think so. The benefits of digital marketing, the cost effectiveness, the impact of the reach, the value proposition with the digital marketing far outweighs the risk that comes along with what would call as the threats that you talked about. It has to be dealt with, but it has to be seen in the context as I explained. That's my take on this, David.
I agree. Actually, do you want to add something? A few seconds, because we are just crossed the end of the question and answer section. Ashish,
No,
Ashish, do you want to add something?
I agree with Ram, actually, and there is nothing else to add on. I think we as human beings, we are responsible enough to understand that what is critical, what is important, what is safe for us, and we know how to protect our own information. And there are a lot of information is on Google. I think if you search it, that how to protect your own information and all, you will get so many references and example. Watch those videos and you would understand how you can protect your information.
Great.
That's the only thing I have to add.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ashish. Thank you, Ram. Thank you, everyone, and for the insightful really session. I would like to thank the panelists for joining us today and sharing their knowledge with us. And thank you, everyone, to join the webinar. We appreciate your time and hope that you're enjoying the session. Please send us your feedback via email, social, about the content, the webinar. We'll take these feedbacks for improving these initiatives. Please make sure that to check the MBF Connect platform for recording of this webinar and for the upcoming webinar that we'll do in the next month. We'll share the URL to the platform in a sec. I think here in the platform that is mbfconnect.ie, of course. In terms of next step, we'll keep available the video, as I mentioned, in the platform. Stay in touch with us for attending more webinars in the next weeks. Thank you very much again for attending this webinar, and have a great weekend, everyone. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ram.
Thank you, guys.